Hello and welcome to this army roster showcase video for Total War Warhammer 2, where we take a closer look at the unit stats and models of the High Elf army. So this is our last showcase video. We've previously done Skaven, Lizardmen and Dark Elves, and we've left the High Elves until last. So we've chosen Teclis as our Legendary Lord because we already had a look at Tyrion in one of the quest battles. So let's zoom in on him. So he's a spellcaster. He has access to quite a lot of different spells. Regrowth, the Enfeebling Foe, which is a hex, Flaming Sword of Ruin, a Chain Lightning spell, a Net spell, which is pretty handy. One of the Lizardmen, I believe Mazdamundi has the same spell, and Flock of Doom, along with a couple of other special abilities. Let's take a closer look at him. He's got a very fancy headdress, as you can see, and a very fancy staff. It looks like an angry face on his chest piece. So let's take a look at some of the hero units of the High Elves. They have, as you would expect, quite a few spellcasters. We have one for life, one for light, and one which is for high. Yes. High spells. Okay, is that new? Law of High Magic. I don't believe this was in Warhammer 1. If it was, I don't recall it. So I don't recall any of these spells, so this may be something new. I could be wrong, but no, I don't recall this law in the original. But they have access to those free. So we've got actually one of these on a mount, because I thought it would be nice to put one on a mount. Let's lose the UI. It's a chariot pulled by a couple of white horses, from which she can cast her spells. Okay, so what else do we have? We have a noble, a melee specialist. Let's take a look at his stats. He's armoured, he's armour piercing. He's anti-large as well, which is a little unusual. The heroes aren't generally anti-large. Very strong weapon strength, very good armour. And another very fancy helmet. It's a nice decoration on him. And then they also have the Lawmaster of Hoeth, who is a spellcaster but is also armoured, armour piercing and anti-infantry, and has access to some pretty good spells here. Magic missiles, some augments, some hexes as well. Looks like a pretty powerful wizard unit, which can also do some good melee damage as well. The armour 90 and shielded. High leadership, very strong weapon strength. So the High Elves seem to have units that size-wise aren't that big. They really go for more quality over quantity. So let's look at some of this, because if you look at their actual infantry units, they only have 4 dedicated melee infantry units. So we've got the standard spearmen, the mainstay of your army, shielded and anti-large, fairly decent stats. These guys are hold a line, but you really can't rely on them to win you any battles. Very pointy helmets. And then we have the White Lines of Thrace. I assume that's how you pronounce it, Thrace. Armoured, armour piercing, they get a lion cloak, which also provides resistance to magic missile, and the forest riders, so they gain advantages when fighting in forests. Solid stats, nothing amazing. These are great axe infantry. The question is where these guys would be most effective. I mean, they're armour piercing. I did play with these guys in a quest battle, and they did okay, but I think maybe they could be a bit buffed up. If you look at their cloaks, Some of them have that lovely lion's head on top. It's very cruel. Okay, so that brings us on to these dudes. Swordmasters of Hoeth. Now these also appeared during the quest battle, but they were actually on the enemy side, and these guys really tore some stuff up. So these can deflect shots, which is pretty impressive. They're armor piercing, they're armoured, and they're anti-infantry. Very high armor, decent weapon strength, good leadership. As I said, the high elves seem to be more about quality as opposed to quantity. Their face almost entirely covered. High armour. I don't know why they're holding their swords like that. I guess they just think it makes them look cool. But yeah, they're very orderly, very well ranked, these guys. And who are these guys on the end? Oh, we got some more here. The Phoenix Guard. Top tier halberd infantry, armoured, armour piercing, anti-charge, anti-large, with a charge defence against all. Against anything. And those helmets are just ridiculous. Look at them, they're massive. The elf factions in this game seem pretty good. I do like my ranged races. I liked the Wood Elves in Warhammer 1. So I'll probably quite like both elf factions. I'm probably going to start with Dark Elves though, I think. But I think the chances are these videos for the showcases are probably going to be shorter for the elf ones than for the Skaven and Lizardmen, because they have such wonderful monstrous units and non-humanoid units, because they're not strictly human. But the High Elves, not much infantry really. But and surprisingly, I thought they'd have a lot more range than this. They only have 4 dedicated ranged ground units. So these are their standard ranged. But look at that range on them, 180. But they're very lightly armoured, so they get chewed up pretty quickly in combat. Some nice headdresses on them. They of course have reloaded animations now. I'm not sure if the Wood Elves had that. I think they did. You can see their quivers. They're a nice looking unit. I imagine you'll always have some of these guys in your army throughout the campaign. So then we have the lightly armoured variant. So what's the difference between these guys? So these guys just have more armour and more melee defence. So that's it, they're just a slight upgrade. They're wearing a little more armour. Elves, eh? I guess it's kind of hard to make them that exciting when you've got rat men and lizard men. Look at all those archers though, they could do some damage. And as I said, I do like my ranged armies. Okay, so that moves us on to the Lothern Sea Guard. Now these are missile and spear infantry, so they're anti-large, so that these guys can get in a lot of good shots, and then presumably switch to their spears and go to town. I don't know where they keep their spears. I guess they're under their robes somewhere. That's probably why they're standing so upright. You can see our phoenixes up there, but we'll get to those in a moment. Very good range, not as good as the other archers. Let's compare their missile damage. So they've got missile damage of 20, weapon strength is a little better. Leadership is actually leadership's the same. There's not a lot in it though. And then we've got the Lothern Sea Guard with shields. So they have shields on their back as well. Oh, and these guys. Wait a minute.
It will be done.
Okay, there's their spears. I totally didn't see that. They're actually on their backs. That makes sense. Okay, I don't know how I missed that. It's amazing how you're suddenly blind to something and then you just think, how did I miss that? Okay, they got spears on the back, these guys have got shields. So pretty much the same stat wise. Yeah, not a lot in it. It's just a slightly more armoured variant. And that's it for the range. Surprisingly not a lot of ranged options. Okay, so we've got Illyrian Reavers. I played with these guys in the quest battle. I found them kind of rubbish. But they are, I think, they are shock cavalry. I probably used them wrong. I should have just been using them to take out their archer units. They probably do a much better job of that. Can't really go toe to toe for long. So you want to use these guys for hit and run tactics more than anything. But they are pretty cool looking. You gotta give them that. So we've got the Silver Helms, shock cavalry. These guys I also played with in the quest battle. Very strong unit, armoured anti-infantry. These guys I think racked up the most kills just chasing down units. Really nice decoration on those horses. Strong lances. Let's just pull back a little. There we go. Let's take a look at their stats. Pretty good armour, good speed, good weapons strength, good charge bonus as well. So we've got the silver helms with the shield, so these are just a shielded variant. Just so they can look even more fancy. Got a nice little sword detail on their shields there. Essentially the same unit but with shields. As you can see, stat wise they're almost identical. So then we've got a chariot unit. Now we saw one of these with our mage, but this guy's got a spearman on the back, ready to poke some eyes out.
Stand with us this day.
Little blades on the wheels. Looks a little more stable than the Dark Elf chariot, which always looks like it's about to fall over. Good armour, good, pretty much good stats all along. I imagine that would be a pretty effective unit. Okay, what else do we have? Dragon Princes. Okay, this is top tier shock cavalry. They've got dragon armour, volcano forged armour, so they're immune to fire attacks. So these guys are very nice looking. Look at the detail on that shield, that's great. Great horse armour. Really nice lances. Let's just zoom in and get some nice shots of those guys. Really nice armour. You can tell that these guys are top tier. Not to be messed with. High armour and shielded, great charge bonus 80, 78 speed, pretty fast, really good leadership as well. So let's go to some ranged cavalry. We've got the Illyrian Reaver archers, can fire whilst moving, that'd be very helpful I imagine. But basically just the Illyrian Reavers with bows. And then we've got the Tyrannok chariot with an archer on the back. Actually two archers on the back as opposed to spearmen. Reaver bows. So these fire 3 arrows at once. That's pretty helpful. Not sure how you probably want to try and keep these out immediately though. I'm only at 50. It's not too bad, but yeah, you probably want to try and just keep these swinging around the outsides of the battle, firing into masses of troops with those Reaver bows. Okay, so we've got some monstrous beasts. They got a lot of flying monstrous beasts. And where is it? Oh, there we go. A great eagle. So we've seen these in Warhammer 1. They're very fast. Pretty useful for going after artillery. Very nicely detailed unit though. And I believe the mages can actually get, or one of the heroes actually gets this as a mount. Nice attention to detail on those claws there as well, look at those. So that leads us on to our artillery. Let's do our artillery first. So they've got an Eagle Claw bolt thrower. It's a little like the Dark Elf artillery in that you've got 2 bolt settings for standard round, which is good versus single large targets, and multi-shot, which is good for infantry. Armour piercing. It's a neat looking unit. I think the Dark Elf artillery looks nicer though. Sorry High Elves. This looks like a little golf cart. Looks like a golf cart, I have to say. Okay, what's next? Flamespire Phoenix and Frostheart Phoenix. So there's a couple of differences between these guys. As you can see, the Frostheart has way more health. It seems to be a pretty big upgrade all around. Frostheart is armoured, armour piercing, magical aura and attuned to magic. Flamespire has armour piercing but it also has rebirth. Has a chance of regaining some of its health on death. And it has a special ability called Death from Above. So I can actually bombard enemies and the Frost Heart cannot. So that is just a cool looking unit, look at that. And then we have the Frostheart variant. It's pretty cool. Okay, so then we get onto the last units, the dragons. So they get 3 dragons. They get a sun dragon, they get a moon dragon, and they get a star dragon. All of which have dragon breath. So let's have a look at sun dragon first. They get sun dragon breath spell, they get armor piercing, terror, and scaly skin. So their stats pretty much across the board. So we got fire damage of that. So you get more health from sun to moon, and then star. Yeah. So essentially it goes sun, moon, and star in terms of stat bonuses and health. 8,000 health for the star, 6,000 for the sun, and 7 for the moon. Yeah. So it's a straight upgrade. Sun is like tier 1, moon is tier 2, and star is tier 3. So this is the top tier dragon unit, and is this actually a mount for one of them? Maybe. I think it could be a mount for Teclis or Tyrion. I'm not sure. It might be Tyrion. But yeah, we've seen dragons obviously in Warhammer 1, but they couldn't do their flame breath in Warhammer 1, so that's something that's new. So that is it for the High Elf army. If I had to pick my favourite, now I've done these showcase videos for each faction, if I had to pick my favourite, it would... Ooh, I'm not sure. The Skaven and the Lizardmen are great, but I really like the Dark Elves as well. So I'm kind of... These guys are actually facing the wrong way. Why are you facing the wrong way, guys? What's wrong with you? Okay, so what do I think? What was my favourite? I think High Elves, I'm sorry, you're probably guys going to have to come in last. You've got a decent roster, but there's nothing here that really excites me or makes me go, wow. You know, these dragons are cool, but we've seen dragons before. Phoenix is a really nice though. I really like that Flameheart one. Flamespire, sorry. Flamespire and Frostheart. Nice cavalry. I think I'll probably have fun playing the High Elves because I like my ranged factions, but just purely in terms of the roster and how they look, it'd probably be a contest for me between Lizardmen and Dark Elves. No disrespect to the Skaven because they got some wonderful units, but the Dark Elves and the Lizardmen seem to have, you know, quite a little bit more variety maybe across all the different unit types. So it'd probably be between those two. I'd probably settle on Lizardmen just because dinosaurs riding dinosaurs. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. So we've had a nice good look at the High Elf army. So I will eventually be playing a High Elf campaign, but I'm going to probably do Dark Elves first, I think. Then maybe Lizardmen. Then maybe Skaven, and then maybe get to them last. Don't really want to play the Dark Elves and the High Elves together. I'll probably separate them. Okay, so we'll going to leave this video there, and I will see you next time.